way better than Big 12, and yet we're still giving the nod to Carolina, and it's purely brand bias. That's all it is.
Correct. And because
they're using the injury as an excuse, but it's not a consistent excuse when you look at the rest of the seeding.
Yep.
It's clearly brand bias. They want the brand in, which I get it. That's how you draw.
That doesn't mean the tournament's
all
bad, though, if you don't have North Carolina.
Compelling matchup in this. West Virginia or Carolina?
West Virginia.
Who's more competitive in this?
West
It's
Virginia.
clearly West Virginia. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Laws. I'm Silas. To my right is James. To my left is Zach. And we're going to get to some March Madness bracket talk.
Best time of year.
Oh, yeah. So, got the bracket reveal earlier.
Yep.
We'll just get into it. We're going to wait for the South region. We're going to do that one last. That's where Iowa State is. Probably going to spend the most time talking about that. So, let's go over to the East.
Okay.
Do you want to do first four or no? Just touch on them.
We'll talk about first four
when it's involving
where they
well because one of the first games is Duke there in your matchup.
So because who does Duke get out of that?
I think Duke either plays St. Francis or Alabama State, I believe.
So Duke gets a play-in. Then you got Mississippi State, Baylor.
Over in the East, it's American and Mount St. Mary's.
Okay.
So I'm taking American in that one. Don't know why.
That's who Duke will match up as one of those
whoever wins that one, yeah.
Okay,
I don't know why. They say American.
So we'll take Duke moving out of the first round probably.
Yes. If they don't.
Mississippi State, Baylor.
Honestly, I think that one's a toss-up. I think all those 8-9 games are generally kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
I would lean towards Baylor just because they're Big 12. But Mississippi State plays really well. I don't know.
Baylor has tons of injuries this year, and Mississippi State's a little bit more consistent. And plus, who does Baylor have besides VJ Edgecombe?
Yeah.
You know, so
I was gonna say I would want Baylor to win. I'm probably leaning more towards Mississippi State as actually winning that game.
We got Oregon Liberty. Potential upset.
Liberty.
I don't know Liberty. What did they win? What conference did they win?
Liberty just won their conference. I think they're in the Big South.
Big South.
But don't, like I said, don't quote me on that. Arizona I tell you, this one right here.
Akron.
Yeah, the Zips of Akron.
It's for sure potential upset alert.
Because it's Arizona.
Because Arizona having Caleb
Love,
he'll shoot them out of a game.
So, and Arizona's got this weird habit of getting upset in the first round the last few years.
So potential upset there. BYU, VCU.
Virginia Commonwealth.
I just watched VCU today a little bit. I think BYU beats them though. I don't know. BYU's look good.
But even then, there seems to be a little bit more of a physicality to BYU this year.
Good offensive rebounding team.
Yeah.
I love this potential matchup though.
Wisconsin, Montana.
I love this one. If we can get BYU, Wisconsin in the second round game,
that would be amazing.
Fun. St. Mary's, Vanderbilt, and then Alabama. Robert Morris. Out of those,
who do you have
out of the East, who do you have as your biggest potential upset alerts?
Oh, and for me, I'll go first. For me, looking at the bracket overall,
just out of the East.
I know over the East. I know I'm looking, but honestly, I'm looking at Liberty or Akron. I don't want to say Arizona is gonna, wet the bed again. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, I take Liberty. They just won the Big South. Oregon, they're good again this year. But Dana Altman's a great coach. But I'm going with Liberty. They got the momentum right now, and a lot of time that can make a difference.
The other thing is Oregon's playing in Washington, so they're not far.
And Liberty's coming away from Lynchburg, Virginia.
So Arizona, I don't know how much. I can't imagine it would be too hard for them to get some fans. Washington.
Oh no, that's it. They were in the Pac-12 for how long?
Yeah,
they're used to that trip.
So,
I probably am going to take Akron over Arizona. Watching Arizona last night, I was talking about this earlier with a guy. Just they seem to have lost steam about the last 6 or 8 minutes of that game. They just lost all their steam. Like they held up with Houston for most of that game. First half was really competitive. I was like, oh man, maybe they got a chance.
Right.
And you just watched them over the course of that game, and they only got one player, Caleb Love, and if he's off, they struggle.
Shooter.
Yeah, but they struggle offensively without him. So if he starts missing shots, just their offense really takes a downturn.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to take Akron. I was in the same thing though. Akron or Liberty is one of my upsets.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
would be kind of where I stand in that,
Okay.
where I land.
Coming
Let's
out of
go-
the region, who do you guys got coming out of that region to represent the East in the Final Four? I mean, it's easy enough to say Duke, but Cooper Flagg's hurt.
To be honest, I'm probably Duke, or I'm going to go a little bit oddball here. I'm going to go BYU. I think if BYU stays where they're at as far as like a mentality state
Yeah.
and things like that and hitting their shots, I think BYU is a hard team to beat. I'm going to take either Duke or BYU.
Dude, if we get a BYU Alabama Sweet 16,
That would be
105
pretty
to 100 final score.
oh man,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of your higher seeds are teams that rely very heavily on the three ball.
Yeah.
So it's hard to feel that confident about
Yeah.
them.
The only reason I take like BYU over Alabama is because Alabama, I think, showed too many vulnerabilities in that SEC tournament. I think BYU has more defensively than Alabama does.
Absolutely, they do.
BYU does emphasize their three ball, but they play some really good defense.
Great
And,
free
and
throw shooting
BYU
team,
also
too.
goes like 10 deep.
Yeah.
So that
helps.
That's the only reason.
I do like that BYU pick. There.
That's the
I-
only reason I take like a BYU or something like that. But is Cooper Flake out indefinitely, or is
No,
he?
Coach just said that he's hoping to have him back for Friday, which
Okay.
they shouldn't have a problem with Friday. Now, we've seen 2 16 seeds win the past 5 years against ones. I don't know if Duke's going to be that team.
So do
I don't think
do they
so.
do something like they start him, see how he feels, pull him if they're up, let him rest?
Yeah,
just kind
if
of
you
just
feel
kind of
that
playing
second
him
round
out.
If
game.
you're comfortable in that
Yeah.
game, you pull him from that.
Because if they got Cooper Flag, Duke is a hard team to beat right now. I'm just gonna be honest. They really are a thorough team.
I struggle with Duke.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Duke coming out of the East,
Okay.
and I think where I've settled on this is they have not had to play as tough of a schedule. And
ACC is
there
terrible.
is a Cooper Flag injury, but I think they're gonna have just a little bit more gas than other teams.
Sure.
So I'll take Duke,
I've
which isn't an easy pick taking a one out of this region. There's a lot of really good teams in there.
Yeah.
And Duke's like the one I feel the least confident about.
for me, honestly, just the way they've been playing, I've got Wisconsin coming out of this region.
But they just got beat by a Michigan team.
Okay, you got beat by Michigan. That's okay. Michigan's one of the hottest teams. Wisconsin was playing really well up to that point, too. And Wisconsin is the highest scoring Wisconsin team since 77-78. Wisconsin is known for their defense primarily, but this year they can score the ball.
And probably Wisconsin's path to get to that Sweet 16 is BYU, and then, or if you beat Montana, then it's probably BYU, then most likely Alabama.
Alabama's vulnerable.
That's not terrible matchups because you're getting
Yeah.
if it's BYU and Bama, those are three ball heavy teams.
Yeah.
You catch them on an off night.
Defensively,
It's not
if you can stay
that,
strong,
yeah.
then yeah, I could see Wisconsin being a
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I
All
got.
right, let's go to the Midwest region.
Okay.
We got Houston versus SIU Edwardsville.
I see upset.
No,
No. Not with Coach Sampson.
Houston's really good this year. Gonzaga, Georgia, which is kind of an interesting
So
matchup.
I do like that matchup. I'm curious on actually that
Okay.
game because Georgia has probably been the main one to upset a lot of teams. They beat Duke. They beat
Georgia's kind of that. It's just because they play such a
Yeah.
physical brand of basketball.
Yep.
It's their football team on a basketball court is kind of what they are.
Oh, Kirby. And his sun visor.
But yeah, that one is actually pretty interesting. 9-8. We got
It's a really
Clemson.
interesting second round matchup potentially with Houston.
Yeah, with whoever Houston gets there is
Yep.
pretty interesting. We got Clemson versus McNeese.
I mean, Nice State, man. Yeah.
Purdue versus High Point.
High point of their season right now, bud.
Apparently,
Yeah.
we got Illinois versus who's in that playing game.
This is the interesting one. Texas and Xavier.
Texas and Xavier.
Combined, you want to hear this? Texas and I'm gonna start railing about this after we talk about all the regions.
Yeah, two and
2 and 23
between the two.
and quad 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are these teams in over
That's
West Virginia?
that's what I was confused by too. Is as I was not expecting to see a Texas and an Oklahoma in.
Oklahoma I can deal with because they started off 14-0 and won
Yeah.
a lot of quad 1
But
games
how
and
do
then
you get-
struggled in the
Yeah.
SEC.
How do you get
I
a
can
Texas
deal with
in there?
that.
How do you get a Xavier
How do
in
you get
there?
North Carolina?
I know. I don't.
We'll talk about that near the end. Okay.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Yep.
All we can do is
Watch the games now.
watch the games.
Either way, I'm picking Illinois regardless.
Yeah.
I think Xavier beats Texas though.
yeah.
Anyway.
I hope so.
And then we got Kentucky Troy, which is interesting. Kentucky's pretty hot finishing the season.
Yep.
Kentucky's got a weird thing about losing too.
Yeah.
But
I
new
know.
coach,
New
Calipari's
coach.
not
But
there.
they're a 3 seed. They're not a 2 seed. But
That makes a difference.
We got UCLA versus Utah State.
Aggies.
I'm going upset here
And
and
then
going Utah State.
Tennessee
Utah
versus Wofford. I see UCLA, Utah State, and that kind of just screams upset.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
probably means it won't be, but it just, I don't know, something about it just kind of screams
Utah
upset.
State, I think they said they had won their last 10 games. They are like on a 10-game win
They haven't
streak.
lost since like
And then
early February or
the
something.
other upset I can see is Purdue High Point.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't trust Purdue. They've got like one player and that's it. It's just Braden
First team
Smith, that's
All-American,
it. Yeah, and he's
but-
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's one player,
But
though.
it's one player, and so
What 7-footer do they have this year? They always
Yeah.
have insanely tall guys there. Matt
But
Painter knows how to recruit tall.
I absolutely see. I think Purdue and probably UCLA are probably the two that jump out the screen as
Yeah.
potential upsets.
And honestly, I don't think this is controversial whatsoever. I've got Houston coming out of the Midwest, man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
Coach
think
Sampson
they're
has
really
done it
good.
again.
They're
3 straight
rolling.
years, 1 seed.
And
them.
Juwan Roberts will be healthy for
Yes.
right. I think they were.
Yep,
most-
Jawan's good.
I think it was rest him for the Big 12.
Tugler's
they didn't
playing
have
well.
Juwan Roberts, and they bullied their way through the Big 12 tournament. They are really
They still won by
good.
double digits every game.
They're really good. They're going to be healthy going into the NCAA tournament.
Yep. The only one I worried about would be, as far as an upset,
it's
would be Gonzaga. Just it's a completely different playing style. If they get
Yeah.
Georgia, you're playing, bricks, playing against bricks. Houston's going to win that every day.
Because then if everything goes chalk for Houston and you get out past that Gonzaga Georgia game, it's what
Good luck.
Clemson or Purdue.
Good luck.
Neither of those teams really scare me.
Clemson shoots a little bit
So
better, but
it's
yeah.
a good. It's really a good path for Houston, I think, to Sweet
A
16.
Kentucky, Houston, Elite Eight.
And then,
all right.
yeah.
Maybe Tennessee?
I mean,
Tennessee
I think it's
seems
probably
more
Tennessee.
improved.
I think it's
I
probably
think-
Tennessee
I
out of that.
think it
No,
helps that they're
no,
not
out
so
of the.
reliant on a Dalton Connect. I think they're a
No,
little bit deep.
I
on
think
it.
Houston
Yeah.
comes out, but I'm saying out of your bottom half of that bracket, I see it as being a Tennessee-Houston
Yeah.
matchup in that final game.
But
Great
there
game.
are
out of the
potentials between Illinois, Kentucky. Very, very easy to see Tennessee not making it out of there either. So
I think you might see the most upsets potentially in this one with
But I do
McNeese,
think-
High
so.
Point,
I think
Utah
you
State.
see a lot of potential, and so I think that sets up pretty well for Houston. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
think Houston got a really good draw. I like it for
I
Houston.
agree.
Come out of here.
Yeah.
If not Houston, I don't know where.
I tend to go with Tennessee, but even then, I think this may be just my opinion. I
Yeah.
think the Midwest might be the easiest, the easiest region to come out of if you're a
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
Duke's got it really tough in the East.
Yeah. No, I do like the path for Houston. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's go across the way over to the West region.
Okay.
We got Florida, Norfolk State. Florida's really good. Yukon, Oklahoma, which is kind of an interesting
UConn's
matchup.
going for the three-peat this year.
I don't think
I don't
they're
see
good
it this
enough
year.
to get there this year.
No,
But
I.
But if they get past Florida, is Dan Hurley doing it again?
Houston is huge. So
Yeah.
I don't see UConn really making a run.
But they beat Oklahoma.
I think so.
I think so
Yeah.
too. Yeah, because a
I
UConn-Florida matchup will be fun.
I think
I'm calling-
Oklahoma's in because of their non-con.
I'm
I agree
with her.
I'm calling an upset here, and I'm
Okay.
going to take Oklahoma over UConn.
Okay.
Not much of an
It's
upset,
not really
A 9 beat an 8, but it's still a 9 beat.
Yeah.
but I'm gonna call it like a close game. Not a 20-point blowout, but maybe like a
Yeah.
2-point win. But
Okay.
I'm giving it Oklahoma on this one.
Okay, then we got Memphis versus Colorado State.
Calling the upset right here with Colorado State.
You know Colorado State.
Yep.
Not
Now
trusting
Penny. I don't trust Penny Hardaway.
I don't
Down the
think
hood
so.
there in Memphis, he loses players all the time because of
I just-
bad things.
I-
They're
things-
hot.
Things don't. It's just hard to trust Memphis.
I've got the boys from Fort Collins. They're winning that one.
Then
Calling it
we
right
got
now.
Maryland versus Grand Canyon
That's
University.
another one.
I
keep an
might
eye
call
on.
an upset on that one.
GCU.
too.
Very
Yep.
interesting.
Maryland looked real iffy there in the Big Ten tournament. I don't know.
Got the Big Ten Freshman of the Year playing for them.
Mm-hmm.
This one,
This is one of my
this is
favorite
the one I'm
matchups.
waiting for. Yes.
Missouri Drake.
Yep.
We're cheering for the boys from Des Moines.
I
Yep.
don't know. I like that matchup for Drake. I really
I do too.
If I'm Missouri, I'm not happy.
No, I know.
I'm not happy
That's
about
when
that
I saw
draw.
Missouri, and then they got Drake. I was like,
Because
oof,
Drake
that's
is it's when Drake and you and I don't know what it is about those teams. It's just
well, they're always an underdog, right?
Yeah,
they're
it's-
always
it-
the underdog,
they're-
but
they
they
up.
play
they're the
up
perpetual
so well.
underdog. They know how to play in games
Yep.
like this. Yeah.
And Ben McCollum, I hope it doesn't happen, but if Ben McCollum is going to leave Drake to go to Indiana or Iowa potentially, I hope Drake makes a run, loses to Iowa State in the Final Four. Wow. I don't want to play Drake at
The
all.
last team I want to see in the Final
Drake, I
Four
want
is
Drake.
Drake. That would suck.
Yep.
All right, we got Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington.
Yep, the Seahawks.
I don't.
And then
think Texas
Kansas
Tech.
got a sucky.
I
draw
like.
down here.
I can't
Oh,
wait
man.
for
We
this
got
one.
Kansas versus
I was
Arkansas.
gonna say, unfortunately,
Can't
I
wait.
think Kansas is gonna get.
They got they're gonna
Arkansas
get.
kind of rolling.
Yeah.
Well, dude, and then they got St. John's, even if they get past
know.
Calipari.
And then St. John's
play Rick
versus
Pitino.
Omaha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Omaha will put up a fight in that, but I think over like the first half will be close, and then St. John's will just pull away second
Rick
half.
Pitino ain't gonna lose that one.
No. St.
They look
John's
really
plays
good.
a way too physical brand of basketball.
Yep. Rick Pitino's
Well,
a
that's
Hall
like
of
I was
Famer for a
watching them
reason.
against Memphis earlier, and it was like again the same thing. They held in it. They were there. That was the Big East final, Big East championship. But it was really.
Memphis isn't
Not
the Big
Memphis.
East.
Memphis is American Athletic.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Are you thinking Marquette?
No. Who did St. John's play in the?
Who did
Sorry.
play the Big East championship game?
I don't know. They're all the way in New York. I don't know.
Creighton. My
Oh,
bad.
that's right,
My bad.
Creighton.
That's so weird.
My
I
bad.
hope, just side note, I hope Creighton at some point joins as a basketball member for the Big 12.
That'd be
Omaha, easy
The
trip.
Blue Jays.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Creighton, and they held in with them for quite some time. Like they were
Yeah.
right there. They were within 5 a couple times.
Yeah.
And then late game, St. John's
I-
just rolled and took away that game.
This West, I think it's one of the better regions.
Yeah.
Between Florida,
That's a tough region, too.
Maryland, Drake, Missouri, Tech, Kansas, Arkansas,
St. John's.
Like
This would be the fun. This would be the bracket to watch.
I was gonna say, I think this
region.
is gonna be the most fun bracket to watch all the games because I just think the matchups are so even.
They're all interesting.
I mean, and they're interesting
Yeah.
matchups. I think as you get deeper into this bracket, the matchups get like closer and closer as far as like what game is going to be, which team is healthier, right? Which team is hitting
yeah.
the.
Florida's the hottest team right now.
Yeah.
Florida.
Them in Colorado
yeah.
State. Drake's playing
I
really
think
well.
I think Florida probably plays in the Elite Eight.
Okay, who would they match up against on the other side of that bracket?
That's the thing. Is it so?
I think the
loaded
bottom
down
half of
there.
that bracket
I almost
is
want
up
to
in the
say
air.
Tech.
I was gonna probably go Tech.
I'm gonna go probably Tech or St. John's, which
Yep.
is a little chalky, but those are the teams that are, I think, playing the best. right
And
now.
honestly, I'm probably pulling Florida out of this region. I don't.
Okay.
Florida's really good.
They look really
They're
good.
playing really well right now.
I was not surprised to see him get that fourth one.
I'm not
spot
gonna
at
take
all.
St. John's coming out of it just because they don't shoot the ball well enough, and you can play defense as well as you want, but if you don't make a shot, it's tough to. And so I think eventually
they
the
make the
lack
Sweet
of
16,
shooting.
yeah.
I think the lack of shooting on that team is going to catch up to them. I think I'm going to take Tech coming out of this. I like Tech. I think
Grant McCaslin's a great coach.
I think they got things rolling there.
Yep. Don't threaten me with a good time. That'd be their second Final Four appearance. First one in 2019. There's not a dud for a game here at all.
I don't think so.
Except for maybe like the 116, but we've seen the past 5 years seen 2 16s upset one.
I don't see that happening.
Not in
year.
this one at least.
I think the 1 seeds this year are just more complete teams.
Yeah.
They're not so reliant on
I do
one
agree.
player that we've seen.
Yeah.
Although I would, and I know we're going to move here in a second, but Auburn, I would say, would be the only one that maybe is your one.
They're the most vulnerable.
They're the
Them are
most
Duke.
vulnerable of all.
Them are Duke.
Yep.
Yeah. On my side, man, you know what? I know it's a little homerish, but I really like the way Grant McCaslin coaches basketball in Lubbock. It's biased, sure, but I watched a lot of Texas Tech basketball this year, and I tell you what, that win Iowa State got in Lubbock early in January, that's huge. Iowa State doesn't get that one. They're probably a 4. They're looking way different. I've got Grant McCaslin's Red Raiders coming out of this one.
And then
so
I don't know if we really touched on this. was our most likely upsets. Was that what Maryland, Grand Canyon, and then
I had
Drake,
Colorado
Missouri.
State, Memphis.
Yeah, I think Drake
Colorado
gets an,
State, Memphis. Yeah,
So I think
that
Drake
one's-
maybe gets an
Drake,
upset.
Missouri. Drake, Texas Tech, second round. That sounds
That'd be
awesome.
fun. I could see Drake getting an upset. I could see GCU getting an upset. I could see
Oh, yeah.
Colorado
Grand
State getting
Canyon's
an
very
upset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's so many opportunities in this bracket. Quote unquote, you could say Arkansas gets an upset over Kansas maybe.
Yep.
I don't know. There's just a lot of matchups in this one that you just go, I don't know, the underdog's not really that much of an underdog in this game.
Yep.
So
All right.
Okay, let's move on to the South region. We have Auburn versus.
So they will end up playing either Alabama State or St. Francis University. So you got the Yellow Jackets versus the Catholics. So
I'm taking Alabama or Auburn out of that. They're
I will too.
really for what 98% of the season they've very clearly looked like the best team.
stumbled a little bit late in the season.
Yeah,
But still, Jedi Broom,
I
one
think
player of the year and all
my
that.
biggest concern
in
for
the
Auburn
SEC.
is especially with who's that I'm trying to think of that freshman they have.
Oh, yeah, I forget his name.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
There's been some times where there's been a huge lack of maturity with him.
What are we talking here?
Oh, I think he'll throw some fits. I think he's gotten tossed out of a couple games.
Okay.
I don't know. I can remember, but they've got a bunch of size at the big. They can shoot the ball really well.
Yep.
So I think they are a complete team. It's just if they can just keep things together internally.
just mentally, I think is where they are
Yeah.
lacking a little bit this
Yep.
year. Yep.
But other than
Physically,
that-
I think they have all of the properties of a good team.
And
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there is
Coach
pressure.
Pearl's a great coach,
I think
too.
there is pressure on Bruce Pearl to finally win something.
Final Four was a while back.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I think Auburn fans are.
And this is the last year with John A. Broom.
Yeah.
He can't play anymore.
Yeah.
So,
So I do like Auburn.
Yeah.
Louisville Creighton. I think
yeah,
is
I
an
can't wait for that
awesome
one.
matchup.
That's a
That'd be
great
fun.
matchup.
That's going to be about as good as the Missouri Drake one, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for an
I can see
8-9, it's like super comparable too. And I'll tell you this right now, I love Coach McDermott in this spot.
I do too. Yep.
Yeah, I like Creighton in that one, but that is an awesome matchup.
Yeah, love it.
Michigan versus UC San Diego.
Calling the upset in
Sorry,
this one right now.
San Diego.
I don't know anything about UC San Diego.
I know they're in San Diego.
Got it. And they have a UC.
How'd
in
you
their
figure that
name.
one out?
The C, I just assumed it stood for California or Colorado, but it said San Diego, so I went with California.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm calling that should be an awesome game. I'm calling my upset right now for that UC San Diego. That's my upset.
So they're
Right
in
there.
they're in the Big West.
You think Michigan may be riding a little high after tournament win?
Well, people get too big for their britches, all that, whatever you want to call it. I like the little guys.
And it's also its first year for that coach with Michigan.
Yeah, Verdusty.
It's a little easy
Yeah.
for the skis to get out ahead of you, possibly.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering, UC San Diego's in the same division as Hawaii
The Rainbow Warriors
Wow.
Yep.
and the good Rainbow Warriors.
and
So,
UC Irvine.
UC Irvine.
There's a lot of UCs, just in case you're
It's
wondering.
all the
got
California
this one.
school
Is
system.
it Central
Yeah.
then?
Next
Is it
one.
like University Central San Diego or something like that?
No, just University of California at San Diego.
Oh, University of
Yeah.
California. that's
Just like
right.
UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles.
This next one, I think,
Yeah.
is also a big potential upset.
I think so,
alert.
too.
Texas A&M versus Yale. Yale upset. Is right. Yale last year beat Auburn in the first round. I remember. That right?
Yale beat Arizona, didn't they?
I thought Auburn last year lost to a Ivy League school.
I'd have to go back over.
Was it
but
Princeton?
I think Yale did win.
I think it
Princeton.
was Yale. Pretty sure that Yale was the one that upset Auburn last year. Or maybe it was in the first round. It might have been second round or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, because Auburn had an early exit last year, and I think it was to Yale. So it's not like Yale's not used to doing this.
No, they've won. So the Ivy League schools are tough.
What's
Yeah.
crazy though is in that I was just noticing this when they were playing
Okay.
in their conference. Yale's 13-1.
Okay.
Cornell is who they play in the championship. They're 9-5. Like the difference in those in the division as far as like teams was Cornell was 9-5, Dartmouth is 8-6, Princeton's 8-6, Harvard's 7-7. Like just the jump above that Yale had over everybody this year is.
So
Ivy
I
League,
was just
man.
remembering that whole thing that one announcer had with the SEC. Did you know in league play the SEC is like, what was it, like 20-20? They're 500 or something.
They're
like
just
that,
beating
and
up
like
on each other kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he thought he had this great thing. I don't know. You saying that all these teams are like super mediocre?
Same with
that
Ivy.
that there wasn't a winning that the league doesn't have a winning record against itself?
At home,
funny.
Yale was
It says something
11.
about the Big 12 too.
Yale was 11-0 at home this year.
Wow.
McCullard Center.
All right. Then we
I know,
got
I'm joking. I don't know
Ole
what it's
Miss
called.
versus the winner of.
That's the interesting one. Ole Miss will play the winner of North Carolina and San Diego State.
Yeah. Again, it's the same thing with Texas. I don't know why North Carolina's in this spot.
I'll get to that.
Other than their brand, why is North Carolina in this spot?
Why are they, maybe I'll just do it now. Why are they in over West Virginia? That's the biggest snub to me.
Yeah, I don't know why West Virginia didn't get in.
Well, so you had the point earlier as to what it was about West Virginia.
Yep. So
11.
what the committee said, this came out after the break. They were asking, because West Virginia's the biggest snub this year. Why didn't West Virginia get in why they get in over North Carolina? Because they said that Tucker DeVries, Darren DeVries' son, he's been out since January, that he wouldn't be available. So they took him out. But yet, we've had another team that had a pretty significant injury, and they got a really, really high seed. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. They always look at the Q1, right? North Carolina was 1-12 in Quad 1 this year. 8-0 in Quad 2, 7-1 in Quad 3, 6-0 in Quad 4.
You know, they did play Duke closer at the end of the year, though, Zach.
Quality loss is really a thing.
No, because they got
No, they're
blown out
not.
in the end.
No, they're not.
I don't know. I don't think Carolina makes it out of that playing game.
I mean, other than their record is the only thing. If you're just looking at overall record, North Carolina was 13-7 in the league, which wasn't a very good league.
ACC
to be
sucks. I got
honest.
three
Yeah.
teams out of 8.
Sucks.
There were 17
They have
teams
four,
in that.
well, they had 4 in,
Four.
right? North Carolina's first 4 out, but
Oh,
they had
okay,
Duke,
so North
Clemson,
Carolina,
Louisville,
4.
and North Carolina.
So 4 out of 17.
But your league is terrible. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
flat out. The league's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now hang on. Let's look at West Virginia though.
But no, I know that's what I'm saying. So North Carolina was 22-13 as an overall record and
Okay.
13-7 in the league.
What's
Now,
West Virginia? 19
what-
13,
19 and 13 is their overall, and they were 10-10 in league play. So in conference and in that, you say, okay, West Virginia had a worse record overall, totally
Better
across the
conference
board.
though.
But it's a way better conference.
Way
you just-
better.
the bottom team in our conference was 14-20. Okay, that was Colorado, and
Yep.
in league play they were 3-17.
Yep.
I don't know who lost to Colorado 3 times. But
We didn't. We won 3 games
we beat
against
them
them.
And,
3
the,
times.
and
Yeah.
the bottom of ACC is Miami U,
Yeah.
who is 7-24
They
and
lost
3
their
and
coach in
7
the middle of
and
the year.
3-17.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you don't get much better. Boston College was 4-16. North Carolina State is 5-15. California is 6-14.
No, it's-
Syracuse is 7. Right? I mean, it's like you got.
There's no argument. There's no argument that the Big 12 is clearly better. Clearly better.
Yeah. It's just brand.
Like
That's all it is.
It's very obvious that
the
the
bottom-
Big 12 was the second best conference
Yeah.
this year.
The
Yeah.
bottom teams in the Big 12 are Colorado and Arizona State, 3-17, 4-17. Then
Where's
it
Okie
jumps,
State at?
Then it jumps to 7-13 in
For
the conference.
Okie?
Yeah.
No, that's UCF, and then
Oh.
Okie and Cincinnati were all 7-13.
Mm-hmm.
So bottom 5 teams, you still have teams that are almost. I mean, there's 7-win teams in the
It's way
conference.
better. Way better than Big 12. And yet
Yeah.
we're still giving the nod to Carolina, and it's purely brand bias. That's all it is.
Correct. Because
They're
here,
using the injury as an excuse, but it's not a consistent excuse when you look at the rest of the seeding.
yep.
It's clearly brand bias. They want the brand in, which I get it. That's how you draw.
That doesn't
eyeballs.
mean the tournament's
That's all that.
bad though. If you
Yeah.
don't have North Carolina,
But
But what's
what
a
if
more compelling matchup in this? West Virginia or Carolina?
West Virginia.
Who's more competitive in this?
West
it's
Virginia.
clearly West Virginia.
Well, here's the thing.
It's-
Let's look at West Virginia's resume. I told you about North Carolina in Q1, 1-12. West Virginia, 6-10, 4-3 in Quad 2, 4-0 in Quad 3, 5-0 in Quad 4. Yeah, you got less wins in Quad 2 because North Carolina went. They were undefeated in Quad 2. They got 5 more Quad 1 wins.
Yeah.
Come
Here's
on.
the other thing: is
It's
you put
ridiculous.
Texas in. Okay, well, let's say a bubble team. Texas shouldn't have been in.
I'll
West
pull that up in a
Virginia should have
second.
been an automatic bid over Texas.
West Virginia
Texas
should have
is
been there over Xavier, Texas, and
Yeah.
Texas
and
is
Carolina.
6-12 in league play and 19-15 overall. So
But,
if you're
you know,
going
the
at
SEC is really, really
record-
good, so you have
But
to
if
put them
you're
in.
going at record, West Virginia has a better record than Texas, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. Sorry. Just Texas, Oklahoma. Okay. Now, if you're going by league play, they beat half of the league SEC wise in conference
Which
play.
SEC teams? I guess there's 14. They kiss like,
Well, so they were
14 are in.
10-10 in league play. So okay, that was what That's what West Virginia was, 10-10. So in the
Yep.
SEC, you have Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, all with 8 wins in that conference. And then you have Oklahoma and Texas with 6 in conference play. So if you're looking at conference wins and you say, okay, SEC and the Big 12 match up fairly similar this year, then you would have to say West Virginia has more conference wins. We should look at them and see
Yep.
how they fall down these rankings. Okay,
Yeah.
I would say, why wasn't West Virginia in?
Well, and here's the thing: let's skip the Iowa State matchup because that'll be the one we're going to talk about Iowa State. Let's skip down to the Marquette, then we'll get to where I want to bring in West Virginia and Iowa State because it matches up here. What I'm going to say. So Marquette, New Mexico. I got the Lobos. Red
Yeah.
Pitino's son's doing a great job.
Marquette's going the wrong way to finish the season. You
Yep.
got Michigan State, Bryant. I don't see an upset there. Michigan State's
Nope.
been really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tom Izzo's one of the best.
And then Iowa State gets Lipscomb.
Okay, I got Lipscomb. I got your down low on Lipscomb. Small private university in Nashville, about 4,700 overall for your student body.
They're in AM East. I have no idea. That's their league.
American East.
Yeah, with Vermont, Maine, University of Albany,
They're definitely
Birmingham, New Hampshire,
Okay.
U.S. Mass,
Here's the-
UMass Lowell.
Now, here's the thing for Iowa State. TJ Otzelberger announced right after Iowa State found out where they were going. Keyshawn Gilbert is done for the year, so he's not
is he?
playing. Yep. Taman's good to go, but Keyshawn's out for this year, so not a great way to end your career, obviously. But this team played really, really well without Taman or Keyshawn on Thursday against BYU. Dang near won the thing. Just ran out of gas a little bit at the end.
It took BYU hitting 18 threes
Yeah, it's a great game.
to beat an Iowa State team without a point guard.
I mean, here's the thing. If Brett Yormark is watching this, you have to schedule BYU and Iowa State home and home every single year. It's a classic game every time they
It
play.
turned into it.
It's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And there's no hatred between these people, between the fan bases.
Just when we play each other.
right. They're cool.
Yeah.
But Iowa State, you beat Lipscomb, and then I really don't have an issue with you beating Ole Miss or North Carolina or San Diego State. I really don't.
No, I do like the draw for Iowa State.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And then more than likely, you get past that round of 32, you're probably playing Michigan State.
Chance for revenge for that 2000 Elite Eight, year 2000 Elite Eight
Michigan
debacle.
State isn't a team that I'm going to, like, it's not, you've played with the best of the best this year.
Yeah.
All right? You've played with Houston. You've played with Auburn. So it's, and sometimes you've been in those games without some of your better players,
Yeah.
And so I like the draw for Iowa State. It
Oh,
sucks
big
not
time.
having Gilbert.
Okay, they might not actually be in a conference, to be perfectly honest.
Lipscomb.
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 They played in the
That's what James is on.
Lipscomb. I don't know. I'm just
That's
cur-
okay.
I'm just
I-
looking at some
I
of
love
the
it.
teams they played because they played in the Atlantic Sun Championship. Like that was the tournament they played in.
yeah.
But for some
They
of
have a
their
conference record? They have to have a
well, that's
conference
what
record,
I'm. I don't. They're not in this conference thing, and I can't. The Atlantic Sun isn't pulling up as far as
That's
like-
okay. But
But
some of the games that they had early on, they played Arkansas, lost by 16. They played Kentucky. That one they lost worse. That was almost by 30.
right.
So it's like they've played some decent teams, and
Yeah.
I mean Jackson State they beat Southeast Missouri State. So I don't know. They're just they kind of play all over North Florida.
all right.
So they have a decent. They look like they're a decent team.
Oh, they made the tournament. Yeah.
yeah.
Every
But-
game is hard.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I
you can't
think-
assume anything.
I
That's a
think-
great thing about this tournament.
I
Some of
think
your
in this
team
one,
loses.
probably our best potential upsets are going to be that Michigan, UC, San Diego,
Yep.
Yale, Texas A&M. I think New Mexico, Marquette too.
Yeah, even a 7-10 you don't really see. It's more even, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's New Mexico is lower, but
And
honestly,
if Bryant wants to go ahead and upset Michigan State,
if
fine with
if
me.
I'll play Marquette twice.
yeah, no, I'm not like
Dalton Connect's not there
I'm
anymore.
I'm not worried about Marquette either.
Yeah.
They came into Hilton when it was a good
fully
Marquette
healthy
team,
Iowa
and
State.
we took
Yeah.
care of them just fine. So in Iowa State's poll, being in Madison helps a lot.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Thank you.
Yep.
Being in Milwaukee, you're not that far from home. You're gonna have a bunch of fans there.
Oh yeah. TJ has never lost a game in Milwaukee
You're
or a
gonna have-
recruit out of
You're
Milwaukee.
gonna have a good. You're gonna have a good crowd.
Oh yeah.
My biggest concern with Iowa State is just that injury.
Yep.
Well, you've seen Nate Heisey playing so much better. You've had to go to that bench a little bit more. Kelderman has given you some pretty good minutes.
Curtis is playing amazing.
Curtis has been balling lately.
And here's the thing.
Demarion Watson's looked good when he's had a
Deshaun Jackson, something clicked because it looked like he was kind of not. He wasn't giving the best effort he could for a while there.
Yeah.
But I tell you what,
Something
he
clicked with
played.
Deshaun Jackson,
Something's
absolutely.
motivating him. He is playing so well right now.
I think the biggest key to a deep run out of Iowa State is really good Joshua Jefferson.
He's been great.
He's the kind of
Shades of
player
Niang?
because he can be a need a bucket, go to him kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so
outside or inside.
Sometimes he's been pretty consistent. He was really good earlier in the year. If you can get that back, if you can get really good Joshua Jefferson back,
Yep.
I think that's the biggest key. I think that's the biggest key. You saw Curtis and Heisey be able to kind of handle some of that BYU pressure
Yep.
without any point guards. So you know you've got that secondary guy you can go to
Yep.
after Taman for ball handling.
Even Momcilovic is bringing it up.
Yeah,
Monty.
I don't want
I
that.
think that was out of necessity.
Yeah, I don't want Momcilovic bringing
Let's
it up.
not rely on that. But so
Tell you what, another thing that I've really impressed thinking about this, just Momcilovic, we did in that Big 12 tournament, he was dribble driving to the hoop.
yeah,
We haven't seen that as fresh.
I-
Does he have his freshman year or the first half of the year? If
And-
he's got a dribble drive, plus he can shoot from the outside,
and I think his defense has improved a lot.
I
think
agree.
so too. I
He
think
was
he's
getting a
looked
lot
better.
of grief
Yep.
for that, and fair enough. Like it was deserved, but I think he's.
I
Taken
think
that
he's
challenge
learned
head
how
on.
to. I think he's learned how to play with his height because it's like when you're that tall, you have a hard time backpedaling on a lot of defenders, and so I think he's learning
yeah.
basically his own positioning. I'm sure the coaching staff is helping him with this.
Oh yeah,
As far as where he needs to position himself to not get beat on those one-on-ones, because he does a lot better job of backpedaling and staying in position or driving the guy to where the defense
The
wants
help
him to
is,
be,
yeah.
where the help is, things like that. So
yeah.
I think it was just some fundamental things that he was lacking. Every
And
guy's going to go
He
through
has
that.
come back from the injury, looking really good.
Yeah.
Curtis has been red hot lately.
Heisey's. I mean, you're gonna miss Keyshawn for his dribble
Now-
drive, but thing is,
Iowa State's not playing their best basketball, I don't think, going into
no,
the tournament.
not right now.
But they're also not playing their worst, and they've been through a lot this season. They're
Yeah,
very
so many
battle
injuries.
tested. I think we are starting to see that maturity come through for this team, right? You're
Yeah.
seeing Heisey have to mature. You're seeing Curtis Jones have to mature. You're seeing Milan have to mature.
Kelderman.
You're seeing our bigs with Branton Chatfield and Deshaun Jackson. You're seeing them playing so good. And
Yeah,
I
I think they've got some
think-
momentum.
I
Honestly,
think because of the adversity this team has been through, I think having to go through it again with losing Curtis, I think they're prepared for this.
you lose
And-
Keyshawn, yeah.
Or sorry, that's right. Thank you.
Don't
Is-
lose.
is-
I'd
is
rather
losing-
lose Keyshawn than Curtis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is not having Keyshawn for this. Is it's not like it's well now crap. What do we do?
Yeah.
Is it's no you've been through this, and
Yep.
so it's just I think they're ready to be able to handle this without Keyshawn.
Yep.
And that just makes me feel a lot better about Iowa State not having Keyshawn than otherwise.
Yeah.
It feels like they're battle tested. They've had to go through it basically all year long.
Yeah,
And
since
so-
being a conference play.
And so I think they understand the task at hand, and I do feel good about Iowa State going into
I
this.
finally found
Hey,
He's
the
still on this.
tournament or their division.
this is the information we really
All
the
need.
right,
Atlantic
let's hang on
Sun
to your shorts here,
Conference
Oh, man.
is.
I feel so relieved.
I know. North Alabama, FGCU,
Florida Gulf
Jacksonville,
Coast.
EKU, Queens, Austin, Pave,
Peave?
Pave,
PA it has to be Austin.
North Florida,
Austin, PA. Okay,
Stetson,
I know what he's
Central
saying.
Arkansas, West Georgia. Anyway, in the conference, they're 14-4. They were tied with North Alabama.
Okay.
They had a 1 game better overall record, and they're on a 6-game win streak right now. So
So through their tournament.
Hell, they didn't have to win 6 games in 6 days.
Okay, so who do you like coming out of this region?
I want to say Auburn, but part of me just, I don't trust them. I don't. Honestly, for me, I'm going to take the battle-tested Warrior who's been here a lot. He's a Hall of Famer, and I'm taking Coach Izzo.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
I love
Michigan
Coach.
State.
I've always respected Coach Izzo. I didn't like him back in 2000. Now, I'll tell you this. This will give me a lot of grief probably. I first started getting into sports, and I was 8, 9, right around there. Really fell in love with that 2000 Iowa State team. Jamal Tinsley, Marcus Fizer, Michael Nurse, all those guys. First time I ever cried for a sporting event was Michigan State versus Iowa State. That was the national championship game. And it was in the Palace of Auburn Hills. Michigan State had everyone there. From East Lansing to Detroit's easy. And lost. Then my dad tells me the worst of the worst because I knew Tinsley was coming back because I was just figuring out it's not like pro sports. You only have 4 years roughly to play in college.
Now you have
And
like
my dad
7.
tells me, yeah, Zach, Marcus Fizer's not coming back next year. And I bawled. Oh, it's so sad.
Oh, boy.
But I got Tom Izzo.
What if you have a Michigan State final in that
Elite
region?
Eight.
What?
Wouldn't that
In
be
the
fun?
Oh, dude,
could
the whole
get
state
that.
would blow
Wouldn't
up.
that be fun?
That would be fun.
That would be pretty fun. If Iowa State can't be there, that's must-see TV.
In Atlanta.
I think this region actually gives us our best chance to get a high seed because I think Creighton could make a run at this. I think they've got the dudes to do it. I'm not taking them.
A Sweet 16 matchup against
but-
Michigan's tough.
but a potential to get
Potentially.
a higher seed out of a region. I think Creighton gives you the potential there.
This might be the
I was
easiest
going to take Michigan
region.
State too.
But-
They suck. Now I got to go with
but-
Auburn.
No, you
So-
don't.
Well,
no, you
no,
don't.
you don't. You can take Michigan
I'm
State.
going to go with Auburn.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Can Creighton... Okay, let's say Creighton beats Louisville. Can Creighton beat Auburn if Auburn wins their first game?
Here's the thing.
Because that is the next game they have to
Creighton's
play.
got the height to deal
do.
with Janai
Yes.
Broom. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If Louisville matches up against Auburn,
I love Creighton. I'm just saying it. I enjoy cheering for Creighton. I
Yeah.
think they're a fun team to watch.
I like Coach McDermott.
I enjoy Big East basketball, to be perfectly honest. I think they're fun. I think
a
they
good
play.
conference.
I think they play it very similar to a Big 12 as far as like their play styles.
love them in the conference.
So, but anyway, I like Creighton. Agreed. I think Creighton could take down Auburn and maybe be the black dark horse
Yeah.
team to kind of make a run at
So
some of this.
I'll go with Auburn. They're huge. They're deep. They're battle tested too. I like Auburn coming out of this.
Okay.
I guess that's where we can go. Is if you had to pick a dark horse just coming in the
Any
tournament.
region? Any region.
Or we could pick a dark horse. We could go back through. Or I guess I don't know how much more time you guys want to spend on this.
I mean, I could take
We could
like
wrap
a
up
I could take like a
talking.
Drake in the West region.
How far? To an Elite
Okay,
Eight?
so dark horse.
Sweet
So
16?
dark horse in the South. We're going what? Creighton probably.
I would
So
say
what would
Dark
you
horse in
consider a
the
dark
South.
horse? 6 or 7 or higher?
Someone 10 or below. I'd say 8 or a 9.
well, Creighton's a 9.
Okay, let's go 9 or below. You go because
I
8's
think you
kind
could
of your.
go. Yeah, so you probably got to go with.
You have to go in your bottom half of teams, right?
So
you got
9 to
16, so 9 to 16.
16.
Kind of
so I'd
is your
go
dark
Creighton
horse.
there then.
Yeah.
In the West,
I'm taking Drake. I like them as maybe a dark horse to like the Sweet 16, something like that.
Drake or
Now,
Arkansas.
they'd
is
have
probably
to
where I
beat
would
a
go.
Texas Tech, so I'm not going to say that's a good matchup for
Yeah,
them. But
I'd probably go with
No.
Drake or an Arkansas, maybe.
maybe
I would
Arkansas.
go with
or-
Colorado State. I think they'd have a
Okay.
little bit easier
Yeah.
path potentially to make a Sweet 16,
Okay.
to make the second weekend.
Yep.
In our Midwest,
Utah State.
Utah. I know that's what I was thinking. Utah
I don't see a lot of
State.
decent matchups here.
I don't like Georgia just because of that Houston matchup. Probably Utah State is where I would
Maybe
go.
maybe McNeese, but they don't beat Houston, so
No, I think I'd have to go Utah State as a dark horse there. I like
and then
that.
and then as far as you're
In
going at the East, I
Liberty.
was looking at Liberty or if BYU shoots themselves out of a game. It'd be tougher,
Okay,
but
so-
I could
so
see
dark horse-
I can see VCU.
So to be considered a dark horse, would it have to be at least make a Sweet 16?
I think you gotta make second weekend.
Okay.
yeah.
So
I
So
could see
VCU
VCU
I'm
doing
not
it
saying you
if
have to
they-
be loyal. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be loyal like
Because
Chicago.
okay,
in
yeah,
the Final
VCU
Four.
you knock out Wisconsin, BYU kind of thing.
But that's really tough. If VCU knocks up BYU and Wisconsin, man.
Man, they can make a
Your
run.
other
at
one
it.
can
though
make a
is
run.
Akron.
the Zips.
You beat Arizona. You beat Oregon
I'm sorry,
Liberty winner.
I
Maybe.
don't trust a team that has a kangaroo as their mascot. I'm against kangaroo themed teams.
What are they? Akron Roos or something?
No, the Zips.
The Zips.
For some reason, it's not a tire or a race
the
car.
word?
It's a kangaroo.
kangaroo.
I don't
Why
know.
not? Okay. Do
Darn
you want
Zips.
Who you got
to
your champion?
Who do you got as? Do we want to do our championship teams? Like who are we taking?
Just do your 2 championship teams and who wins. You can do final score if you want to.
Akron Zips.
So for me, I'll go first. I've got the Houston Cougars coming out. You can pick Houston too. And then on the other side of the bracket, looking at it right now, I want to take a Houston Texas Tech, all Big 12
That'd
national
be
championship.
cool.
I don't see it happening, but I will go. Right now I'm going to go with Houston, Michigan State. And I've got Coach Sampson winning his first national championship. I'm going to go. Let's go 87, 79.
Score? What the world?
87, 79.
I'm going Florida, Houston. I stole it.
Dang it! That's where I was gonna go with it.
Okay, so why Florida? They're just super. They're really hot right now.
They're hot, but I think
Good
they're
shooting team.
they're a thorough team. Okay, they
Okay.
got shooters, they got guards, they got bigs, they've got depth.
Okay.
I just think they're on a hot streak right now. I think they're playing well, but I think they're the most fundamentally sound team aside from Houston.
Yeah.
I think just through and through, when you get deep into tournament play, you have to have bigs that can score. You
Yep.
have to have guards that can score, and
Both
you
teams
have
have that.
They both
Yeah.
have that, and you have to have some sort of a bench, and
Yep.
both teams have that too. Plus,
Yeah.
they've got really good coaching.
I think it's going to turn out to be defense, which is
Yep.
what Coach
where I
Sampson
think
always has.
I think Houston has the upside on the defensive end of the floor
Yep.
compared to Florida.
All right,
Who you
guys, I'm
got? Who you got
taking-
winning though? Who got
Screw
winning
you
though?
guys.
Houston
I'm
or
taking
Florida?
Duke, Iowa State. Someone's got to be
What a
different
run
here.
by TJ.
Or I take Iowa
Duke,
State.
Iowa
Houston.
State wins 80-50.
You got to give us a real one.
I'm doing Houston wins by maybe half a dozen points.
I like Houston too.
Love it.
You know what? Just because I want to see the matchup, I'm gonna go Houston Auburn. I know it's very rare we get 1v1. When it comes down to it, I want to see.
Best of the best.
What's that guy's name for Houston? They're big.
Juwan Roberts.
I want to
Against
see
Janai Broom.
Juwan
Juwan
Roberts
Roberts
versus
Janai
Janai Broom. I
Broom.
want
That would be
to
fun.
see those two
And
play
great
each
guard
other.
play for both
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
I'll go Houston Auburn just to
Hey,
see
that's
that
good.
match.
Who you
I
got
think
winning?
I think that
Houston. Big 12.
I'll go Auburn.
All right, boo. All right, now,
Stupid
last
SEC.
question before we wrap this segment.
I
I'll
don't
get to some
want
Not
to-
like your
I just-
wannabe matchup,
I hear.
right? Obviously, Iowa State.
If you had to pick
Iowa-
an ideal
yeah.
matchup, Iowa State versus
We're all gonna say Iowa State who?
is BYU.
Gross. I don't want BYU.
Oh,
again.
not
The last thing I'd
again.
wanna
But we
see
beat
is
BYU in
BYU.
the title game. Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome.
I'm going
okay.
Iowa State Duke.
Oh yeah.
I think
Here's
Iowa
my.
State
I'm
Duke
saying.
would be
I'm gonna say the
kinda
same
fun.
thing. Iowa State Duke, and it's tie game. It's 71-71. Iowa State's got the ball last. Lob. It's a no, hang on. It's a lob from Taman to Deshaun Jackson. Puts it in with 0.2 of a second left. Iowa State wins 73-71.
I'm going to go
Oh, my
Iowa State,
gosh.
Alabama.
See, that's interesting.
Just because I hate Alabama and to be able to beat them in the
Wait,
national
Well,
championship
hang on
game would
here.
be awesome.
Wait,
Hang on
you
here. You got some
can't.
interesting. You got an Iowa State connection in Alabama too. Nate Oates was an assistant with TJ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Wait, which side is Alabama on?
They're in the East with
Oh yeah, with Duke. Okay,
the
that's
Duke
right.
Blue Devils.
That would be an
Duke.
interesting match.
Now I want to say before we wrap up, we got our teams. We got our maybe really fun matchup. Iowa State, obviously, for all of us versus Duke, and then whoever, and he's got Bama. I think it really speaks to TJ how great a coach he is, because everyone was questioning what is going on with this team when Keyshawn early in the conference season, he wasn't dribble driving, getting into the bodies of people. He had that groin injury that's so significant that he's going to have to miss the NCAA tournament. Yet this team finished 10th overall for most quad one wins this year. And they lost some games they shouldn't have because they had Milan's broken left hand. Curtis had the flu. Deshaun had the flu. Taman has a little bit of a groin. Nothing
he's
crazy.
dealing
but-
with
That
a
and he's
couple
had a
injuries.
broken thumb all year.
yeah.
And shot the
So
ball
that
better.
speaks to how great TG is and his staff, how good they are keeping these guys pulled together and how well they have played. It's not a disappointment Even if they lose in the second round, I'll be disappointed. But I think the ceiling is a Sweet 16 appearance again this year. The floor is the second round.
Iowa State loses early. To me, it would feel a little bit of a what-if season.
Sure.
Because it felt like...
Not Georgia Yang broken foot season.
That team you saw early in Maui.
So good.
Yep.
That it took a tip-in by Auburn to be... You're like, wow, championship team. And then it's just been one thing after another. And so if they lose early, it's going to feel like a what could have been season.
Now, I do think that puts a focal point on you're coaching a certain mentality, which is what TJ does, right? He coaches these guys. He looks for players that fit the mold of what he's coaching. He does not look for the top tier talent. He's not pulling top recruit or top transfers or anything like that, right? He's looking for the guys that fit the mold of what he's coaching and that style of play that they have. Because when you can take a team that's broken apart by injuries and things like that and still get some decent wins out of them and not just totally fumble on your face, that shows that you're coaching a full, complete team, and there's a lot of potential with that. Yeah. And so as players looking for a team to play with, you go, that guy's doing something right.
Yeah.
Because he can take a team like that who's missing one of their top scorers for multiple games, who's missing a guy who opens up that entire perimeter play, big men who can't play. You know, we had a couple games where we had two big men foul out, you know, and they're still able to pull a win out of them. You've got guards that are hurt for most of the year.
You're pulling a lot of these players are coming from lower level.
Yep.
Keyshawn, Curtis, Heisey, Jackson, Jefferson,
Chatfield.
Chatfield. So many of these players have come from lower level schools, and he's brought them in and turned a bunch of them now to Big 12 caliber players.
Yep.
To potential NBA caliber players, and it's just players at lower levels that want to that have the potential to go up. Now Iowa State's on that radar, right?
Yep.
Now it's, hey, there's a path to the NBA through Iowa State for me. You know, I can go there for a year or two, and I can develop into a complete player that can then go play at the next level.
Well, I mean, look at what happens with a 5-star recruit coming out of Ankeny, right? Just a complete flop. So sometimes those 5-star guys are not the guys that fit your mold.
Oh, I think TJ recruits guys that have a chip on their shoulder, especially the transfer guys who are overlooked. Look what he built. He took over a team that won 2 games. The worst Iowa State team ever. TJ comes in. Who is Aljaz Kuntz?
Yeah.
You know? Who's Isaiah Brockington? He took that team who scored 49-39 on your birthday. That game was terrible. Worst game I've ever seen. We won. It was so horrible. That team made a Sweet 16. He's made Sweet 16s 2 of the first 3 years. He could make it 3 or 4 this year. We'll see what happens. But either way, love that he's our coach. Sucks about the injuries, but Iowa State could be okay without Keyshawn. They played without him for a good chunk of the year this year. They'll be okay. Heisey will step in. The defense will be there.
I think Heisey's found his place, and I think...
Oh, yeah.
I think he finally got comfortable
shooting again,
not being in that role he was earlier in the year. Right? He was fine with that role he was in, and then he got thrown into this a different kind of role when Milan was out, and it took him a while to adjust. But because you went through that loss of losing Milan, now Heisey's comfortable being in more of a vocal point of the team, right?
Yep.
You've got
and he's playing a different,
throwing a 3 sign up at the Kansas State coach after draining a 3, right?
Jerome Tang.
You can see that from early in the year. You've got that.
He's got a little attitude with him now,
coming from, and that's what I want from him.
But I think he also fits the replacement position of Gilbert better than he fit the replacement position of Milan.
Yeah,
because absolutely,
at that guard.
Yeah, at a little smaller guard who's drawing attention, who's making things happen. Right, he's not the focal point of the outside perimeter shooting. Yeah. Milan is the guy that draws the attention away from Jones, that draws the attention away from Lipsy, and allows that spacing.
That you can't suck in on the bigs when Milan and Curtis are out there. Right? There's too much potential for
even
that.
But Heisey's not a dangerous enough 3-point shooter to say, "Oh, we got to guard him."
Not
consistent.
He can hit him.
Yeah, he can hit him, but he's not consistent enough like Milan was. And so it's like you stick him out there to replace a Milan. He doesn't draw the same attention. He just doesn't.
They're going to focus on Jefferson and Curtis.
Yep. which they did, and it showed through a little bit at times. So
and then
Yeah.
that's when
he's fallen into
that's
his
when you saw
position more.
Curtis kind of after that 30-point performance against Arizona State. You saw him struggling, right? And then you saw Jefferson struggling. You know, it was just because there's so much more attention on him. Milan brought when he came back. You saw a difference in the team, and the drop off, which you wouldn't expect, is less losing a Curtis or a Keyshawn than it is losing a Milan. Just because of how big Milan is, just his bag is so deep offensively.
If he could dribble drive now too, it's
he's
awesome.
gotten better defensively.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Cyclones. I mean, there's not a player on this team I don't like.
Right.
It's a fun team. I hope they can make a deep run at this.
Yeah, we'll just see.
'Cause I absolutely love this Iowa State team this year.
There's not a TJ team I haven't hated, honestly, really. Except for maybe that second team where they couldn't score when they couldn't really score.
Yeah.
That's okay.
There's players that have moved on from Iowa State I haven't been a big fan of.
So this is what I was noticing
Tyree
with
Center.
Iowa State is
I didn't say it.
I did.
Iowa State beat Cincinnati in the first round of Big 12.
Yep.
Top 4 scorers: Jefferson had 19, Momcilovic had 13, Jackson had 10, Lipsey had 16, Heisey had 5. Jones came off the bench with 8. Your second game against BYU that you lost.
Hear these.
The Curtis
31 or
Jones game.
32.
He went numb for like, what was it, 5
5
minutes?
minutes.
He
Yeah.
had
14 or 18
22
straight.
something like that.
He
It's
scored.
crazy.
Yeah.
18 from Momcilovic, 14 from Jefferson, 14 from Jackson, 31 from Jones,
Jeez.
6 from Heisey. Right.
No Taman.
No Taman, right? So that's a little different there.
Yep.
But those games where you play really, really well, and this is what I was talking about with some guy, is when our bigs score double digits. When our bigs score double digits, 1 or 2 of them, we play really well.
Yes.
When we have bigs that score single digit, 4-6 points, we lose those games.
We're in foul trouble, too.
And we're in foul trouble
Yeah.
because our guards do not draw enough attention. We don't have enough depth at our guard position to continue the same level of tempo and play without our bigs involved. When our bigs are involved like this, that is when we play really good basketball. We scored 92 points.
And
right?
that's-
You're going to beat most
Yep.
teams in this.
And that goes to my point where Joshua Jefferson is the key. I think if
For
you
the
have
run.
to pick one,
But-
it's Joshua Jefferson.
And Jackson. I'm sorry, but Jackson has to be involved. He needs 10 points.
He's played really well.
He's played
the
really
last
well
couple
because
weeks.
his rebounding ability is outstanding.
Dude, that Cincinnati game, he had 10 and 15.
Yeah.
That's
So,
what you want from
also-
a big
I just
a little-
think Jackson has to be the complement to Jefferson, right? Because Jefferson is the better shooter.
Yes.
And I would just say
But
all
you
around he's a
need
better
that-
player.
You need the bully ball.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
That's what you need.
You need out of foul trouble Jackson. When he gets in foul trouble, Chatfield does not play the same ability as
It's
Jackson.
different.
and we've
does.
seen
It's
Chatfield
different, but
have some
good.
really
Yes.
good games, but there's a reason he's not your primary. He's not your star.
He can come in and give Jackson a 2-minute break, right? 3-minute
He
break,
still
whatever.
plays
He
really
can play
he
5
still play
minutes.
real well.
He's
Get
fine.
us the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Jackson needs to be out of foul trouble. That keeps the attention off of Jefferson and allows Jefferson to score 14, 16 points a game.
Also, I think one of the most underrated aspects to Iowa State is the bigs. So Jackson and Chatfield, their ability to seal off the guy guarding them when there's guards driving
Yep.
is so impressive.
They
to
open up the
watch.
lane
Like,
really
they're
well.
so good at getting into that position.
don't allow a
to
double
seal
team.
them off, and then they've already got that position for rebounding.
Yep.
It is so impressive to watch and fun to watch. It's just
And
it is-
both those guys
it's
come
really
back
cool.
next year. We get, well, not
Je-
Chatfield. We get Jefferson and Deshaun.
Jackson come back. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll take the president's come back.
All I'm saying is Iowa State's downfall against BYU was their inability to score in the second half. They have
And
30
maybe BYU hitting 18
Well,
threes.
but here's the thing. BYU had 49 points in the first half, 47 in the second half.
Yeah.
Iowa State had 53 and 39.
You
have to be more
They ran out
consistent
of
in the
gas.
second
That's
half.
the difference when you're short 2-point guards. You only go, what was it,
Seven.
deep on the
Seven,
bench, and
that's
BYU's
it, yeah.
playing 10 guys, and like 8 of them can hit threes.
They played 8, but Watson doesn't look like he played.
Watson had
he
like
had
two,
four,
two
he
or
had
3
4
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So it's just you get tired in a game like that. The shooting gets cold. I was worried that was what was going to happen,
And it's okay
But
if-
but, but I'm
yeah.
not mad about that.
No.
I think that was the exact way you wanted to exit the
Yep.
tournament. Okay,
Yep.
is it's guys had to step up. You still play super
Really
well. and then you leave early. You don't feel bad about it, and you can go get some rest.
Especially for Taman.
I was kind of happy Iowa State lost that game because the last thing you want to do is have a really tough game like that against BYU.
You
and
play
then have to go
Houston
play
next.
Houston after that. Like that sucks. So I'm kind of glad they lost to BYU.
Yep.
They've had more time to rest.
But they had
going
those
into the
2 games.
tournament.
You look at their scoring again. You look at the guys there, and they've had the 2 games to, I think, kind of get back into their groove.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is what we talked about the last time, right?
Yes.
That they needed to get back into the groove. They needed
they-
to
I
find
think
that
they did,
rhythm
yeah.
again. I think they found it. So
I do-
I hope that transfers and continues on here. That they can
I
keep
think
those
Sweet
big
16
working.
is your ceiling.
Yep.
With the injury, Sweet 16 is your ceiling.
Final Four is the floor. No.
Of course, the floor. It
was really
I
weird.
think Maui.
Yeah.
I think a championship is the floor.
It's just the floor.
Championship
What's
or
the
bust.
ceiling? Go beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing.
Three-peat.
Really-
That would be the ceiling. No.
No UConn. No Dan Hurley. Despise that man. I think this could be off the Iowa State topic. This is more broad. This could be a really sucky week for West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they
you're-
accept the NIT or did they?
I'm guessing they probably will. But will they have a head coach?
Yeah.
Because West Virginia, you get kicked in the nuts to a North Carolina who doesn't deserve to be in there at all.
Yeah.
Then Darren DeVries, Fran McCaffrey got fired out east at Iowa.
Kind of seems inevitable that he's going like
His
that.
brother played football for Hayden Fry at Iowa in the 90s. He's got connections there. Darren's a great coach. It makes too much sense for him to go to Iowa and take the job. I mean, if Beth Gatz can't get him, what's she even doing as the athletic director
I
at
don't know.
Iowa?
I really hope she can't because I don't want him at
I
Iowa.
don't.
That would
I'd
suck
rather
a little
have
bit,
Darren at Iowa than at West Virginia. We play Iowa once.
but- Yeah.
I don't want to play West Virginia. Darren's a really good coach. That's selfish of me. I should want better coaches
Although,
in
at
there.
least on the bright side, then we would actually have a quality non-con instead of this stupid crap that
We could have a
Iowa's
quad one
pulling,
against
where
Iowa.
We're not getting good non-con.
Not a
Yeah.
Q4.
Yeah.
All right, but we'll see what happens
Yeah.
with West Virginia.
I'm
Something
excited.
we might be talking about next week.
I'm excited to go in the tournament. I think it's gonna be always a lot of fun to
Best
watch.
time of year.
Here for the madness, as long as it's not Iowa State
Of course.
on the wrong side of the madness, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Yeah, we lose the second round. I won't be upset, honestly.
They
So,
don't even
just
have
injury.
they don't have the bracket filled out yet for the NIT.
They'll announce later on.
Yeah, I
tonight.
think they had to go wait till that, and then you figure out.
West
which
Virginia will be the
teams you
one
can
seed
invite.
in
Yeah.
the NIT.
But,
All right.
All right. Well, this was fun. So wrap up our March Madness talk. We will look forward to keep talking
And
about
I was
this.
gonna say just the beginning of that one.
Yep. We will look forward to keep talking about this tournament as it continues. I am excited about it. But
Yeah.
that's it.
Good.